Okay, I'm ready to go. If you can hear me, Linda, it says my video camera is blocked by the host. So you may want to unblock that. Thank you, everybody. I thought our keynotes and our panelists introduced a whole lot of information today. And I'm actually thrilled to say we are not yet finished with our focus on governance. Volunteers, as you know, provide the backbone to everything we do as nonprofits, and especially Kids Chance. But before we get into enhancing our volunteer engagement, let's recognize our session sponsors, Japari and WorkComp EDI. Japari's expanding connectivity network now links over 5,000 insurance payers with 1,500,000 providers nationally, supplying extraordinary day one trading partner penetration to new customers while enabling competitive opportunities to our entire connected community. Japari is a leading customer-focused health information technology company supplying advanced medical EDI solutions to payers and providers in healthcare, workers' compensation, auto, medical, and other medical services insurance markets. Their services allow the complete elimination of paper-based transactions and care-related information exchange from the business side of medical services. In addition to Japari, WorkComp EDI is also a sponsor of today's session. WorkComp EDI is an electronic billing clearinghouse specializing in electronically connecting 4,400 plus payer and bill review companies to submitters and vendors for workers' compensation, auto casualty, and personal injury markets. Robust image management capabilities blend flexibility with existing vendor services to facilitate a private label solution for aggregating required supporting documentation. We really appreciate the assistance and sponsorship that we receive from our conference sponsors. Thank you today to Japari and WorkComp EDI for sponsoring our next session. As a reminder, I just want to let everybody know that we will be displaying our Kids Chance signs right after the program concludes this afternoon. So please make sure that you get your sign out of the swag box. It's about an 8.5 by 11 with Kids Chance on it, and make sure you have it ready to go. At this point, it's my pleasure to introduce Tynetta Brown, most recently serving as the Director of Development and Marketing Communications for the WRK Group, where she is responsible for implementation and oversight of collaborative fundraising, communications, and marketing and communications efforts. Prior to the WRK Group, she served as the Director of Community Impact and the Associate Director of Health in United Way of Delaware, where she focused on youth, education, policy, and health. Tynetta has over 23 years of experience in public health care and pharmaceutical sectors in the areas of strategic sponsorship development, corporate relationship management, social marketing, management of nonprofit and government community, and public health programs. Additionally, she has expertise in public policy, health disparities, and patient advocacy. Tynetta is no stranger to volunteerism and service. She has served on numerous national, regional, and local health, youth, and arts-related boards and committees. Currently, she is on the Board of Trustees for Christiana Care Health System and is a member of their Women's and Children's Leadership Council. She serves on the Board of Directors of Kids Chance of America and Kids Chance of Delaware. We will have certainly some time for Q&A as we move along, and we'll try to keep it at the end of the session, but I want to make sure that you are placing your questions for Tynetta in the chat box as we're moving through. Linda will be gathering those together so that we're ready after the session. So again, without further ado, I'd like to turn the program over to today's speaker, Tynetta Brown.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Glad to be back in the fold again. I don't do as much with Kids Chance of America due to numerous things as always, but I am making every effort to support the Delaware team, and definitely want to share just some of my learnings when Cheryl and Vicki asked me if I'd be interested in talking about this piece of it, in terms of volunteerism, I guess because I kind of do it on steroids a lot and need to dial that back, but I'm getting there. So one of the things I just wanted to, just really talk about here is just how the Kids Chance chapters can really maximize engagement with their volunteers at all the various levels of your work. And I'm learning to, doing that now with a different set of folks here as I serve as CEO of Philanthropy, Delaware, which brings all the funders across our state together and connecting them with nonprofit organizations. So basically, one thing I want to hold up, I don't know if you can see it, but this is a book that I always use and give as gifts to folks sometimes when it comes to volunteering. It's called The Heart of a Volunteer, and it's a really cute thank you book with all kinds of sweet little quotes and witticisms that we can all use to, thank our volunteers. But I'm happy to, again, speak with you all today, and I'll share my screen. Or Linda, are you driving?
Yeah, I've got the screen up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I must have missed it then. Sorry.
Hold on 1 second.
No, that's fine. You are welcome to drive.
All right. Can you see the screen?
There? Hold on 1 second.
There we go.
For some reason, I'm missing it. Hold on. Doesn't want me to see it today. But nonetheless, we can I can talk through, I think, without that. I wanna blow it up on my own, but it's not letting me. Let's see here. Are you sharing it, Linda, with the group?
I was, and then hold on 1 second. With technical
Otherwise, I can
found today.
say again. I'm sorry.
We are
I
having.
can share my.
Oh,
Let me see if I can share my screen. Are you able to see it? I just want to confirm before I keep going.
Yes, Tynetta.
Okay, great. My apologies. So here we are. Basically, as I said, we're examining the why of volunteering. And we've all seen this quote from Margaret Mead in terms of doubting that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. And indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And that's been so evidentiary with this past year operating in the COVID-19 space as a community across our country and globally. Volunteerism from multiple perspectives. Organizationally, it impacts the future of the organization as it relates to succession planning and long-term future of your organization and the mission and vision that it intends to deliver. Engaged volunteers provide manpower to execute on programmatic deliverables, events, and or special campaigns. Just from an individual perspective, and I know for me, it's related to my personal interest, passion, commitment to the community that I live in, and your desire to help by lending your talents and expertise to a cause. And otherwise, why are you doing it if you can't really speak to that benefit for the organization as well as that personal benefit as you continue to donate your time? A volunteer commitment, it represents helping the organization raise the dollars needed to meet its mission. It fulfills a passion to help your community. And it gives you, again, that opportunity to share the expertise that can benefit so many beyond what you do in your day-to-day workspace. If you're great at financials and accounting and you have that skill set serving as treasurer or bookkeeper or processing invoices, things of that nature, it certainly is a big help to organizations to be able to execute that skill set. Public relations, marketing, whatever your expertise is. And it just helps the organization reach and serve as many people intended as possible. So one of the things I'd love to have you all think through, either put it in the chat and it's going to be captured, is in one word, what brought you to Kids Chance? So if you could put that in the chat, we're going to come up with at the end and just share some of the words that folks have put forward as you think introspectively about what brought you to the Kids Chance mission and vision in your respective state as well as across the country.
And Tynetta, we have a word cloud set up so that we can display it at the end. If you go to Mentimeter, go to menti.com and enter the number 2924-4897, or click the link in the chat and you can enter your one word there while Tynetta moves forward with her presentation, and then we'll share at the end.
Yeah, trying to make it a little interactive and participatory with the audience on the session today. So, again, as a volunteer, you're the link. In any volunteer-driven organization, the board volunteer serves as that liaison or linkage between the work of the organization, the internal operations, as well as the community and those who are receiving the services that the respective organization is offering. And in this case, of course, those students and families who are receiving scholarships as a result of your hard work in raising those funds to make sure that a youth does have the opportunity to go to college. So that role, you're that critical link to make or break an organization in some instances. And that weak link can certainly, impact an organization negatively. And so being able to keep those linkages across the organization filled and the work being able to continue on behalf of the organization is critical. And that's why you see so much nowadays in terms of volunteer appreciation, because without volunteers, a great deal would not get done across many of our communities. As a board volunteer, it's a very layered role, of course, and your place in that is pretty critical to the success of Kids Chance of America, Georgia, Delaware, Florida, wherever you are in this Kids Chance universe or ecosystem. The board volunteer supports engagement internally and externally, particularly when it comes to marketing and communications about our mission and operations of the organization, serving as that ambassador. The board volunteer can help ensure that diversity and inclusion is a key element in our work and truly includes all and reflects all volunteers, all scholars, and the community that you're working in. The board volunteer can consistently engage by utilizing systems such as Dropbox, FileShare, Google Drive, so that you can readily access all pertinent information and be up to date on the movement and activity of your particular chapter, as well as contribute to the dynamic sharing of information across these platforms. And also, of course, the administrative responsibility of managing legal documents, archiving history, archiving minutes, and any other record keeping. Those are critical pieces to running an organization as well. And you also, of course, we do have that opportunity wherein the offering of the virtual assistant, if you don't have within your organization the bandwidth or wherewithal of volunteers to do that. And I'm sure Vicki and the team have already kind of articulated a lot about that offering for your respective organization. But as a volunteer, to be able to go alongside the leadership of your chapter to make sure these things are operational and functional and flowing smoothly and no hiccups, that does allow you to solely focus on the work and the mission and vision of the organization. Secondarily, the whole point of this is to kind of get everyone at this juncture in the year to, what will you do to enhance your current volunteer engagement? And I just posed a few things for us all to think about as we progress through the latter half of 2021. Is it increase the number of volunteer hours? Because there's value in that. When the teams are applying for grants and funding for your respective chapters, those hours have value. I just read something that $28.54 an hour is the average value of a volunteer to any organization. So if you're committing 20, 30 hours a month or 10 hours a week, all of that has value. So please, be mindful of, do I need to increase my hours? And, that is noted in a grant of in-kind contribution when you're offsetting cost in your grant request. This is an opportunity to show that you have that dollar value, roughly $28.54. Not sure where they got the 54 cents from, but that $28 per hour value of a volunteer, regardless of their level of expertise and engagement, is critical when you're looking at in-kind support for your organization. Of course, are you going to start helping in terms of assisting with fundraising, in terms of giving or opening the door for an opportunity for your leadership, president, collective board members to make the ask of someone to get those dollars? If you have those relationships, you may not appropriately be able to actually make that direct ask yourself, but you are in a position perhaps to assist with fundraising by opening that door, or in addition to that, giving, as your whatever level you're comfortable with personally. In terms of enhancing your current engagement, do you need to look more at helping recruit those diverse board members, and not just looking at racial diversity? Do you need some youth on the board? Start a youth board to get that perspective of what is needed from a scholarship perspective for these families. Do you need to look at, age diversity, looking at the new philanthropies that young millennials and early careerists are beginning to look at versus, the boomers? Yes, we do donate and donate heavily, and we volunteer and volunteer heavily. But how do we start looking at perhaps recruiting and making sure that our board is reflective of the surrounding community that we're in, beyond just racial diversity, getting people to expand their definition of a diverse board or diverse chapter makeup? Do you have an opportunity to somehow enhance your volunteer engagement by helping find potential scholarship recipients? It's quite a travesty to have money to give away and not have the students to give it away when we know the need is out there. So just these simple 4 little things, whatever one you choose or all 4 that you may choose, maybe start thinking or evaluating at your retreat or even independently, what you might want to look at doing to enhance your current volunteer engagement. And again, alone we can do so little, but together as volunteers we can do so much. And basically in terms of summation with this, and not to be redundant, but examine your why. The hours that you dedicate to be on the conference calls for your chapter, or the opportunity to engage with the community to talk more about Kids Chance. Really think through why you're doing that and feel good about that why. Decide what your level of commitment can be. And one thing I do find that is always valued by the leadership, the board president or the volunteer chair, is consistency. Life happens, yes, but if you do have the opportunity to really shore up your level of commitment and be consistent with your engagement or what you can offer to the chapter, please make every effort to try to do that. The administrative support, if you don't have the talent for really making sure the minutes get out and finessing details on action items and following up to make sure they're delivered on, perhaps a virtual assistant for your chapter might be the way to go, with respect to some uniformity and communication channels always remaining open. So however you do that, there is that opportunity to leverage that if you don't quite have the bandwidth of volunteers to execute on those needed operational activities. Commit to the area that interests you most. Usually what you're passionate about, you give it your all. So if there's that opportunity to really focus on one aspect of the chapter, whether it's marketing communications, whether it's leading the fundraising component, or managing the scholarship process, if you're interested in that and you feel passionate about getting those tasks done on behalf of your chapter, really commit to doing that. And then just help your organization fulfill its true mission and goals in terms of more money and more kids, across all of our chapters. The commonality of that certainly ties us all together, and each chapter, of course, does it a different way, but there is that opportunity to really focus and hone in on how our volunteers step up and shore up on behalf of providing scholarships for kids. And again, this wasn't intended to be anything novel or rocket science. It's just an opportunity for us to really do some introspection around our role as volunteers and what we, what our perspective of that for our own individual selves. Do we feel that we're giving what we can to the degree that we can? And if not, can we do more? And if we're not, is there an opportunity to maybe take a step back and do some analysis of that and help recruit volunteers who really can fill the void where you can or other volunteers can't? So basically, every person can make a difference and every person really should try. That's just a quote I ran across from John F. Kennedy, just to say no small amount of time spent, thinking spent is diminished in any way. All of its value, and every person in some small way has a contribution to make to the success of Kids Chance in your respective states. So I think I took about 10 minutes or so. So if anyone's got any questions, or if Linda, we did get some folks to really start populating that one word about why they're involved in Kids Chance, and it's at a place where we can share it, please do so.
We did. So if you stop your screen share, I will take over.
Fantastic.
And let me share the word cloud.
Wonderful. In one word, what brought you to Kids Chance? Opportunity to restore, to work. The conference itself, kids, wonderful. Being blessed and blessing others looks like impact, personal, just duty, giving, to make a difference. Children, compensation, the workman's comp space itself for those of you who have it as a career, being supportive and really engaging in your community. So those are things that should resonate with each of you from the standpoint of every day that you decide to commit hours to this work. Know that these are some of the drivers for why you decided to say yes to whomever asked you to be involved in Kids Chance. So I thank you for contributing to that, and maybe we'll build this out over time, Cheryl and Vicki, and it can become a nice Kids Chance poster that speaks to why Kids Chance and why get involved. Might be something you can sell in your chapters and put your chapter logo on there, maybe. Look, Cheryl and Vicki, I'm always looking for ways to raise revenue as well. So I hope this was informative and allowed you an opportunity maybe to rethink, what volunteerism looks like, messages you can communicate with your volunteers in some way to, rev them up, because we're all a little exhausted. COVID-19 took a lot out of us, but it also gave us an opportunity to shine the light on the importance of volunteerism. People came out in droves to help with food bank, to help, folks find jobs and stay connected and thrive during this crisis, and get vaccinated if need be, get tested if need be. So if no other time, we have good examples of what it means to be a good volunteer for any effort in our respective communities. And I hope this allowed you a few nuggets and thoughts to kind of shore up what you do for Kids Chance of America and Kids Chance in your respective states. So thank you, Vicki and Cheryl, for asking me to share, my little perspective on this. And again, I hope it was of value to those of you that were able to attend this session. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer some. And I'll make sure that I send the title of and Source for the Heart of a Volunteer, and you can get it off Amazon. It would make a nice volunteer gift.
Tynetta, I did have a question. As a board member yourself, so you serve on many boards and have for years, how do you like to be thanked as a board member? What motivates you? What encourages you? And how do you like to be thanked?
Well, I'm one of those folks who, I don't do things for that purpose or attention. All the work that I've done in terms of, you always get the awards or certificates. As much as I have done, I don't really have a lot of that. And that's not something I seek. I'm one of those people who I get the self-satisfaction, and I guess from knowing that if I had a talent or a skill that I can lend to move something forward, it's kind of hard for me to sit in the room and not offer that. But sometimes when you raise your hand, you do get all the work. So the virtue of that, can be good and bad sometimes. But overall, a simple acknowledgement, if thank yous, are in order, just the words themselves. I don't need the tchotchke or the certificate or the ceremony or my name doesn't have to be in the paper. So, I think as people see volunteers who are stepping up and engaging, just to appreciate them one-to-one doesn't even, I would think for me anyway, it doesn't have to be out in the open and broadcast, Tynetta Brown did this and we thank her for it. No, for me, it's just self-satisfaction more than anything, knowing that I could help, particularly if I'm not in a position to give on that give or get side. I may not be able to write the big check that I'd like to for a Kids Chance or any other effort I'm involved in. But as I said, the value of my time, talent, and treasure to the degree that I can, I know that's moving the work forward. And I have that satisfaction versus, a tangible thank you. So I'm not one to necessarily expect or seek that.
So that's a good point for our state organizations that are responsible for engaging their boards. Really, it sounds like the best thank you is knowing that you made a difference and a contribution and moved this issue forward. I think that's so important. Thank you for sharing.
Surely.
Thank you to you both. Any other questions, Linda, coming in?
Yeah, we do have a few other questions. So what kinds of things would encourage you to do more?
I think for me, I try not to look left and right at what other people are doing, because you sometimes, you were like with any organization, you've got 20 people around the table, but only 2 are really moving the work. So I guess in terms of me, nothing's really necessary. I'm just going to, do the best that I can and contribute what I can. And more is relative. I'm not going to try not to overcommit myself because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and if I do, I try to, take a step back and, if it's not too late and still fulfill my commitment, I try to do so. But, doing more is relative. It all just depends on what that more is. I mean, if it's something I can simplistically take care of and still sustaining my current volunteer duties, then perhaps I will give consideration to adding it to the list. But again, I try to ask people to give me deadlines, loud screaming deadlines, because I work better, from a deadline, of course, so that I can make sure I don't, hold up work or knock people off their track and trajectory to fulfill their volunteer assignment when there's something that they need from me in order to move it forward. So I, try not to overcommit, but, I have had my moments.
Anything else, Linda?
Yeah, a couple more. How do we engage the key stakeholders? They're not the everyday volunteers, but their influence and resources are critical. The everyday ones.
I think I would say continuing to share the successes of your organization. Tell those stories about those kids who got the scholarships and the impact it has on their families. And then on the back end, those who make the decision to, for those that want to be known, those who make the decision to financially contribute. And again, highlight a volunteer, for those that don't mind being, highlighted in your newsletter or on your social media, just a volunteer moment, and highlight something that a volunteer did unexpectedly, or just the fact that they gave you X amount of hours, in the course of their busy week or month, is kind of what I would do when it comes to that. So that way in communicating, well, look what they've done. And this organization, as busy as they are, they're still contributing. This individual, as busy as they are, they're still contributing. So surely I too can, be a part of this, wonderful mission and vision for, on behalf of students. So I think by continually sharing that and telling others what you do, because I think Vicki and Cheryl will recall when they came to me in 2015, I think, to be a part of this wonderful effort, I had never heard of Kids Chance of America. So you're a very well-kept secret. So the more you have that opportunity to talk about those who are making a conscious choice to be involved with this organization, I think that will, it'll get beyond your workman's comp circle. It'll get beyond your circle of the chapters itself. It'll get to the everyday person in the grocery store, or, that worker who wasn't even aware that you all existed, and they're trying to plan for their college and they're working on a construction site or they're working in a risky job. But to have that comfort in knowing there's something out there and letting just your everyday person know, as well as connecting to the education community in a big way. Communicate with those boards of education that you all are out there, or those guidance counselor groups that you all are out there, in terms of just expanding, your network of who you share your story with.
And we have, thank you, we have one more. How would you engage your larger corporate partners and sponsors?
Being in my Philanthropy Delaware role, I am finding that a lot of our corporate funders who run, whether it's their CRA, Community Reinvestment Act component in the financial arena, or just their community social responsibility components of their organization, are also not just looking to write the check for that particular ask, but they're also looking for ways that their employees who live in that community can be involved in a volunteer way. So there's an opportunity there to engage those corporate funders in being on your board, perhaps, or working with some of the youth that you bring forward as scholars. And even if you do a workshop about college applications and all that, and then segue into the fact that this scholarship is available, some of those folks would be happy to help execute those workshops, host those workshops. So any opportunity you have to bring those corporate employees in as a volunteer, because they're always granted volunteer hours across their organization to engage in some way. So that would be kind of a slow crawl to introduce them to Kids Chance, by saying, here's some volunteer opportunities, and the more they get to be engaged in your activities, then they'll see that this is, perhaps a good cause and good value for the organization to give consideration to if they're looking at education, or if they're looking at, scholarship and how they can support that. It may lead to a funding opportunity or a C-suite relationship, by virtue of team building and things of that nature. So they're always, I'm finding of late, asking on their grant applications in their portal, are there opportunities for volunteer engagement or team engagement or community service through your organization? So you could start leveraging that by looking at their website to see if they're seeking volunteers opportunities. And also a lot of your United Ways and other access portals you may have to list volunteer opportunities for your organization. A lot of corporations do comb that. Benevity, which is a source that allows employees in certain corporations to make contributions to certain organizations that are registered, as well as seek volunteer opportunities from your organization. So you have multiple ways by which you can let corporations know there are volunteer opportunities, or if you have a direct touch point with a Barclays or a JP Morgan Chase or Chemours or DuPont, and they're looking for team building opportunities in the community other than just a food bank, endeavor, or planting a garden. If you have some strong volunteer opportunities with your chapter, make sure you note those across those various platforms, because people are looking. You just never know opportunistically when that one employee is looking for a way to use their volunteer hours they've been granted for the year with an organization they might not have thought about.
Great ideas and great information, Tynetta. Thank you so much. Thank you for
You're welcome.
being here. Thank you for your service on our national board and the board of Delaware. We really appreciate having your leadership, and certainly volunteer engagement, I think, is near and dear to everyone's heart. So lots of really great information came out. Remember, everyone, that all of the conference materials will be posted on the website after the conference concludes. So if you've missed something or you were taking copious notes and you needed to get back, we'll do that. But again, thank you, Tynetta. We appreciate having you here.
You're so welcome.
All right.
Thank you all as well.
We're going to move on, and once again, thank our sponsors. And again, I can't thank those people who support us enough. As Tynetta said, it's really important to make sure that these supporters, as well as the volunteer efforts that they provide, are adequately acknowledged in everything we do. We can't do it without them. So I think we've gotten to the show us your sign portion of today's program. So if everybody can take a second and get your sign ready. Cheryl, do you want to show us what that sign looks like? Hold that up nice and high. Are we going to gallery view? Everybody put it on gallery view.
And turn on your video.
And turn on your video so that we can get a nice shot of the Kids Chance signs.
Here come the video.
Okay. Here comes everybody. I know, you got to get that sign up there. Already? Okay. Ready? Oh, we're getting a few more.
Few more.
Come on, everybody. I don't want to go until we get the whole group. Okay. Ready, set. Here comes Jim. Good, good, good. Amy. Ready, set, say cheese. Cheese. Taking the pictures. Taking the pictures.
Got the picture.
Look good. You guys look great. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I think you're going to get out a little early today. I think that concludes everything that we have for today. I want to just remind everybody that day 5 begins tomorrow at noon Eastern time, and we're going to be kicking off with a presentation from Sheila Bravo on sustainability and building sustainability for your organization, followed by a very specific session on individual major gifts, and then a session on building your funding model. So it's a lot about fundraising tomorrow. And then we'll have a pretty nice conclusion to the conference in a video display. So not to be missed. If you have any other questions, let us know. You can put those through the chat box. And if not, have a very good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.